There was a version of me that had everything that the world said would make a man feel whole. And I felt nothing. Not empty, not sad, something actually worse than both of those. I felt numb, like I was watching my own life through glass, going through the motions, hitting the marks, performing the version of me that everyone around me could accept. And somewhere underneath all of it, something was pressing against the walls, trying to get out, trying to be heard, and I had no language for it. That pressure was not a problem to be solved because that pressure was me, the real version, the one that I had spent years burying under the noise. This channel only exists because I found my way back to that man. And what I discovered from that journey about instinct, about sovereignty, and what it takes to build a life from the inside out. But before we go anywhere, I need to say something to you that nobody in this space is saying clearly enough. The modern world is running a systematic attack on the one thing that could save you. And most men have no idea what's happening. In 2023, researchers in the University of Chicago documented what they called a male meaning crisis, a statistically significant collapse in men's sense of purpose, identity, and directional certainty across every age group under 45. What that data showed was that men today report the lowest levels of satisfaction ever recorded in the study's 40 years history. A 2024 American Psychological Association report found that 40% of men say they have no one outside of a partner they can genuinely have a conversation with that actually matters. Not a friend, not a brother, not a mentor, no one. And the November Foundation's global research on young men found that the number one reason men do not seek help, that they do not reach out, do not change, and do not move is not because of pride, and it is not stubbornness. It is that they do not trust themselves enough to know what it is that they actually need. That last one is the one that actually should stop you cold. Because that is not a mental health statistic. That is a gut statistic. That is what happened when a man has been systematically disconnected from his own instinct, that he cannot hear himself anymore. How does a man lose access to the most fundamental navigation system that he was born with? I'll tell you exactly how, because I lived it. There is a period in a man's life that nobody prepares you for, and nobody talks when it's happening to you. I call it the in-between. It is the space between who you were told to be and who you actually are. Between the life you inherited and the life that is trying to emerge from you. Between the performance and the presence. For me, that space felt like standing in a room where all the walls were closing in and the only door out was the one I had never been willing to open. Because opening that door meant everything you had built, the image, the certainty, the version of confidence that was just control, was just a structure built on someone else's blueprint. I spent years being disciplined about the wrong things, grinding in directions that looked right from the outside, moving fast enough that I didn't have to sit still long enough to feel the hollowness underneath the motion. And here's what the research tells us about men like me that was in the season. Men in that in-between space, men who are moving and actually not going anywhere. Check this out. In 2022, Harvard study on male identity development found that the majority of men who report high levels of external achievement simultaneously report low levels of internal coherence, meaning they are winning by every visible metric, but they are losing from all of the internal ones. The gap between those two things, between the performance and the reality, is where the gut goes silent. because the gut cannot speak over the noise of constant motion. It cannot compete with the algorithm that knows exactly which video to serve you next, which outrage to feed you, which aspiration to sell you, which version of masculinity that you need to perform. The gut requires stillness. And stillness is the one thing that the modern world is engineered to prevent from happening. I want to be precise here because this is not a philosophy. This is biology. The enteric nervous system, what scientists sometimes call the second brain, contains more than 100 million nerve cells lining your gastrointestinal tract. It communicates directly with your brain through the vagus nerve and produces approximately 95% of the body's serotonin. Not your head, your gut. When you feel that cold clarity in dangerous situation, that is your gut reading the environmental signals faster than your conscious mind can even process. When you feel a magnetic pull towards a person, a path, a decision that has not been yet rationalized, all that is your gut integrating information that your analytical mind has yet to assemble. The gut is not a metaphor. It is your most ancient yet most intelligent system that you possess. It has been operating in men for more than 30,000 years. Who knows, could be even more. It kept your ancestors alive. It guided them towards shelters, food, towards allies, away from predators, and towards their purpose. And in the span of one generation, we have nearly destroyed our access to it. Here's how. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol, which disrupts the vagal tone and compromises the gut-brain connection. And something crazy that I found is that poor sleep, and the CDC reports that 35% of American adults are chronically sleep deprived. Can you imagine that? It also degrades the neurological pathways through which gut intelligence operates. Ultra-processed food, which now constitute 50% of the average American diet, disrupts the microbiome that the enteric nervous system depends on to function. And then there is the screen, the black mirror. Check this out. The average man in 2024 spends 7 hours per day on a digital device. 7 hours. Every hour of that is an hour of externally directed attention. Attention pointed outward towards someone else's content, someone else's opinion, someone else's life, rather than inward towards the signals that your own system is trying to send to you. The gut speaks in the quiet frequencies. The modern world runs out of volume specifically calibrated to drown it out.